I'm Monster 1970, and today I'm going to be installing this rear catalytic converter on the 2006 Nissan Altima. Let's get started. This is a rear catalytic converter from ABSM Auto. Purchased this from Amazon. I will include a link in the description. It came with 2 donuts, the rear bolts to attach it to the existing exhaust pipe, and some springs and shoulder bolts to connect it to the front at the header pipe, or the front catalytic converter. Number for this is X003SYJU8J. I've already disconnected the negative battery terminal. Now we'll go and remove the bolts off the exhaust. I've got the car supported on 2 jack stands. I'm going to be removing these 2 bolts here, and they might just break off, I don't know. And then there's 2 bolts up in the front that I got to remove. Okay, I'm using a 11/16 socket on this end, and I've got a 9/16 wrench on the other end. Next, I'm going to remove this connector that goes to the O2 sensor, and I think there's a clip up on top that I have to remove, and that was a pain to get to before. I forget exactly how I got up in there. Might be easier to remove it from here. I thought you have to push really hard on this clip to get it to release, but it did come off. So now I'm going to remove those 2 bolts out of the front, and then this whole section should come out. Okay, I don't know if you can see this or not, but these are 9/16, and they shouldn't be that tight because I just had this off. And before I take this off the whole way, I'm going to see if I can loosen up the O2 sensor. Well, I was able to get this loose. I really put some force behind it. But I know that that's loose now, so I'm going to go back to taking these 2 bolts off. And there's the other one. Now I've got to go and slide the bracket out through that support, that hanger, rubber grommet, whatever it is, rubber isolator, and then slide the new one up in. Here is the old catalytic converter. And you just got to take that exhaust, or take this O2 sensor out, which it should come out pretty easily, and then take it over to the new one. Here we've got the Autosaver 88 catalytic converter, and this is the one from ABYSM Auto. Bracket's a little different here. Looks like the pipe is a little longer. I'm hoping that doesn't cause any problems. Hope I have a long enough cord for the O2 sensor. I got to remove this. I think that's an 8mm Allen, and slide this one back up in place once I get the flange cleaned off. Took this out, and I put the O2 sensor in there. Now I'm going to clean up the flange on the other piece of pipe in the car, and then the exhaust pipe, and then slide this back in place. Gotta clean this old gasket off of here. Probably gonna use a razor blade and a steel brush. I took a wire wheel on a drill and cleaned all that up, scraped all the old gasket off. Now I'm going to be sliding the new catalytic converter up on, or the replacement catalytic converter up on there, and slide running that bar through there. New gasket that I'm going to be putting on there came in the kit. Came with 2 of them for some reason. As you can see, I got the bolts on back there along with the new gasket. I'm going to put a new donut up here, and it came with these bolts, which I think are too small. Yeah, they'll pass right through them. So I don't know what the reasoning was behind that. But I think I'm going to put the bolts that I took out back up in there. I'll pass through. Yeah. I'm going to put that up in there. And I don't know if I want to use springs that they included. I think they'll work. Probably going to install them. So now that we get this new donut on there, try to get that one off, and then I'll be back. The that they included is too big. For this piece, the Autosaver 88 catalytic converter. So I'm going to be reusing their old donut and putting these bolts back in. Torquing these to 18 foot-pounds. I'm going to do the same thing for those 2 bolts back there. Both of those bolts have been torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. I have to install this back up in there yet, and then hook up the negative battery terminal, and it should be done. Okay, connector is back on, and made sure that that wire is not touching up against the engine, because it looks like it rubbed through that wire loom before, but it hadn't damaged any of the wires. So everything should be back together down here. I'm going to go back up, reconnect the negative battery terminal, and we should be done. Connecting the negative battery terminal. And I'm going to start it up and check for leaks. Well, no leaks here. Let's go down here and check. Sounds pretty quiet. Let's check back there further. No leaks here either. I think that's good. That should do it. Well, that'll do it for installing the replacement catalytic converter on the 2005 Nissan Altima with the 2.5 liter. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and stay safe. Thanks for watching.